Sir, this bill was introduced in the House by the then Labour Minister Shri K.V. Raghunatha Reddy. I was also present at that time in the House. After a period of 9 long years, this bill has now come from the cold storage. It shows how powerful the plantation lobby in the country is. Even though after so much of time this bill has now been brought, I support this bill. In the name of a more comprehensive measure, I do not agree that this bill should be postponed or that it should be again referred to a joint committee. Some such proposal was there. I do not agree to that, though it is not adequate and some improvement from the point of view of workers is needed. I do not agree that we should postpone passing it. For example, it has been suggested that the acreage limit should be brought down to 5 hectares to cover more plantations. In the south, especially in Kerala, Karnataka, and other southern states, many plantations are not covered by the bill. I would request the minister to carefully examine this thing. In North India and some other places, tea plantation is on a large scale, but in the case of rubber, cardamom, and coffee, it is 5 hectares. This is on the high side. I request the Honorable Minister to reduce the acreage limit to 2 to 1.5 hectares for coffee and rubber and cardamom. Our friend was talking about socialism, socialist society, democratic socialism, and so many other things. Tea industry request him to consider my suggestion, and that is whether the government is prepared to nationalize the tea industry. Sir, some 8 years ago in the Kerala Assembly, all the parties, including Congress Party, unanimously recommended to the central government for the takeover of the tea industry. In Kerala, tea plantation is owned by British monopolies. Even in the Assam Assembly, all the parties unanimously passed a resolution suggesting takeover of this industry. Are you prepared to take over this industry, especially this tea industry? I pose this question to the central government. Sir, this tea industry is owned by foreign monopolies and they are exploiting the workers. The situation in the tea industry is deteriorating. Are you prepared to nationalize it when you talk of socialism? Unless this is nationalized, you cannot meet the demand of the workers. Sir, how unfortunate for this country, predominantly agricultural, that the meaning of plantations in this bill has been stretched to include coconut gardens, apple, pineapple, cashew nut, and banana plantation farms. I am glad that wisdom has dawned on the government not to accept these recommendations of the committee. If I were an anarchist or a member of who wished ill of this government, I would have pleaded with the government to stretch the meaning of plantations to cover all agricultural lands in the country and attract the provisions of this bill. Then we could have seen the beginning of convulsions and revolutions in this country, as the debt-ridden farmers, being unable to fulfill the provisions of this bill, would have stated filling up jails for violations of its provisions. Sir, I would take this opportunity to appeal to the Prime Minister to treat agriculture as an industry and treat agriculturists like the urban citizens and treat the farm holding in the same way as they treat the factories and industries. The government should start finding out the invidious and discriminatory laws passed in the country since independence adversely affecting the farming community and review those laws if they want to ensure integrated development of the country. Mr. Vice Chairman, sir, you know the undivided Congress, the Indian National Congress, fought for plantation labor and also for the rights and privileges of the peasantry. It was Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel and Mahatma Gandhi in the Chori Chora movement who brought the peasantry to the forefront to the leadership of the Indian National Congress. As successors of those great leaders in that organization, it is high time the Congress did their best for the plantation labor as well as the unorganized peasantry in that area. Even in Mexico, in Algeria, in Russia, or in Cuba, or in other countries, it was the plantation labor, who took the revolution to its final goal. Here in this country, we do not want to see another blood bath. We do not want to see that they take up arms against government or against employers. As people's representatives and as government of the people, we must do our best to solve their problems, whatever their grievances are, whatever their difficulties are, instead of allowing anybody to take advantage of their poverty and their difficulties. I know what goes on with plantation labor. I can give instances of different plantations. I come from West Bengal, where tea plantation in a very big factor, and I know how plantation labor are still being exploited. Housing facility near the plantations is a must for them under the act. Sir, the resolution itself is very badly drafted, but it draws attention to one of the most pressing problems of this country. Full employment is an objective of every kind of economy in this world, whatever capitalist, socialist, communist, or mixed economy. Therefore, it is also one of our objectives. But then we are not able to find out whether we are proceeding on the road of greater employment or greater unemployment. I am afraid that thinking on this matter is today so confused and contradictory that unless we can have a rational comprehension of the whole problem, we are not likely to make any headway. Therefore, I want to define how we should approach the problem. First of all, this is not a single problem but two different and distinct problems. We should not confuse total unemployment with partial employment or underemployment. These are two different things that have to be dealt with in entirely different fashions, but unfortunately, when we speak of 15 or 19 million unemployed, nobody knows how many of these are really totally unemployed and how many are suffering from seasonal or partial unemployment. Total unemployment is an urban phenomenon. It is only in cities and towns you have people who have to work whatsoever. In the rural areas, it is always a case of partial unemployment or seasonal unemployment. Therefore, the first thing to be done in order to solve this is we must devise a machinery to ascertain how many are totally unemployed and how many are underemployed. Sir, I do suggest that every municipality in this country should maintain a register of the unemployed. Of course, we have now the labor exchanges. Unfortunately, they are not to be found everywhere, and all unemployed do not register themselves there. Therefore, I suggested that in every municipality there should be an unemployment register, and propaganda should be done among the unemployed that they should first register themselves in the municipal register. Similarly, I would suggest that in every village panchayat there should be a register where people will register themselves for underemployment, because during the harvest season there is actually shortage of labor in the village rather than the reverse. Therefore, there would have to be different kinds of registers to show in what seasons you want to give employment and to devise suitable employment. Then secondly, we have to realize that so far as total unemployment is concerned, the only way is to develop industries and social services. The word employment is also used very loosely in the Ambar Charkha. If a man gets 40 or 60 paise, it is called employment. That will not do. We must define employment as giving him work which will give him living wages. Any work which does not give living wages should not be called employment. If we have to give living wages, the only way of doing it for the totally unemployed is to develop our industries and expand our social services. So far as social services are concerned, there is enormous scope for expansion. Why should you not in this country have one teacher for every 20 children? Why should we have one teacher for 40 children? Immediately we can increase the strength of teacher by lakhs. But the real difficulty is we have to pay them, and therefore we are now caught in a dilemma. Without increase of wealth, we cannot increase the social services. Without increasing the social services, we cannot give sufficient and adequate employment for the totally unemployed in the towns. Therefore, the development of industries and social services, the problem of total unemployed cannot be solved. Therefore, it is no use blaming the planning commission or anybody. Of course, some kind of temporary employment can be devised by such way of asking the men to go and dig the high level and make it low level and give them some temporary wages, but that will be only waste of scarce resources and we shall not be solving the problem of unemployment. Therefore, a faster development of industry and out of the surplus process.